Single mechanic taught a kid to fix her bike unaware. Her mother was the CEO, watching the whole time. Rain tapped softly against the faded tin roof of Eli's garage. The small-town mechanic shop wasn't much to look at, but inside, Eli Ramirez worked with the kind of precision that made people drive miles just to get their cars fixed. It was a quiet Tuesday when the door creaked open. A little girl with tangled hair and a pink raincoat stood there, clutching a broken bike with a wheel bent like a pretzel. Eli wiped the grease off his hands. "Well, that's a tough break. Where are your folks, kid?" The girl looked down. "My mom's busy. Can you fix it, please? I was trying to do it myself, but I messed it up." Eli crouched to her level, his voice gentle. "You know what? How about I don't fix it for you? How about I teach you how to fix it yourself?" Her eyes lit up. "Really? You'd do that?" He smiled. "Sure thing, kiddo. Let's make a mechanic out of you." For the next hour, the garage was filled with laughter and clinks of tools. Eli showed her how to loosen the bolts, straighten the frame, and realign the wheel. He didn't just do it. He explained every step, patient and encouraging. "You see this?" he said, guiding her small hands on the wrench. "Machines are like people. Take care of them, and they'll take care of you." When they were done, the bike stood straight and sturdy. The girl beamed, wiping grease off her cheeks. "I fixed it. I actually fixed it." Eli chuckled. "You did. Now you can ride it home." What Eli didn't notice was the sleek black SUV parked across the street. Inside sat a woman in an elegant suit, her sharp eyes softened by tears. Vivian Hale, CEO of Hale Industries, had come to pick up her daughter after another 12-hour meeting. She had expected to find her waiting in the rain. Instead, she had watched this stranger, a simple mechanic, kneel down, teach her daughter, and treat her like she mattered. When her little girl ran out, clutching her newly fixed bike, Vivian stepped out of the car. "Mom," the girl squealed, "look, I fixed it. He taught me." Vivian's gaze met Eli's. He looked slightly embarrassed, wiping his hands on a rag. "She's a natural," he said quietly. "You've got a smart kid there." Vivian extended her hand. "Eli, is it? I owe you more than I can say." He shrugged. "No charge. Sometimes kids just need someone to believe they can do things themselves." Vivian studied him for a moment, then smiled. "You don't know it yet, Mr. Ramirez, but you just taught more than a bike lesson. You taught my daughter something I couldn't buy with all the money in the world." The next morning, a black SUV rolled up to Eli's garage again. Vivian stepped out, this time in jeans instead of a suit. "I have a proposition for you," she said, handing him a card with the Hale Industries logo. Eli raised a brow. "I don't really do corporate work." Vivian smiled. "I'm not offering a job. I'm offering a partnership. You've got a gift with people, Eli. I want to fund a community workshop in your name, a place where kids can learn real skills like my daughter did yesterday." Eli stared at the card, then at her. For the first time in years, hope flickered in his chest. Sometimes, fixing a bike could fix a whole lot more. Eli couldn't sleep that night. He stared at the business card on his workbench, the silver lettering catching the faint glow of the overhead light. He wasn't used to opportunities. He was used to scraped knuckles, overdue bills, and the occasional free coffee from the diner. Down the street, a partnership with his CEO? It sounded like something out of a dream. The next day, Vivian returned, this time with her daughter in tow. The little girl ran straight to Eli and hugged him, her bike parked proudly outside. "I've been thinking about what you said," Vivian began. "A kid who believes in herself is worth more than any boardroom deal I've ever signed. I want to make this happen." Eli scratched the back of his neck. "You really want to fund a workshop? For the community, with me running it?" Vivian's gaze was steady. "You're exactly the kind of person who should—" "You didn't just fix a bike. You built confidence. That's rare." Weeks later, The empty warehouse next to Eli's garage was buzzing with life. Kids from every corner of town showed up, shy ones, curious ones, even a few troublemakers. Eli taught them all the same way he taught that little girl, patient, hands-on, making sure every mistake became a lesson. Vivian visited often, sometimes in her suit, sometimes dressed down, always watching her daughter flourish. It wasn't long before the workshop became more than just a place to learn mechanics. It became a haven. One evening, after the last kid left, Vivian lingered. "You've changed this town, Eli," she said softly. He chuckled. "I just showed a few kids how to hold a wrench." "No," she said, stepping closer. "You showed them how to hold on to themselves." The workshop gained local news coverage. Donations poured in. Parents volunteered. And through it all, Eli stayed the same humble mechanic, his hands always a little greasy, his heart growing fuller every day. Vivian watched him one night as he helped her daughter tighten a bolt. She realized something that made her chest ache, not the kind of ache that hurt, but the kind that reminded you were alive. It wasn't just the workshop he had fixed. It wasn't just the kids. Eli Ramirez had fixed something in her. And for the first time in her life as a powerful CEO, Vivian Hale realized that sometimes the most important deals aren't signed in a boardroom. They're made in a little garage with the sound of a kid's laughter and the click of a wrench. Would you like me to continue the story into a slow-burn romance between Eli and Vivian as they work together to run the workshop, or keep it focused on the community and the workshop's growth with more drama like a threat to shut it down? 6 months later, the once quiet corner of town was alive. Eli's community fix-it workshop had become a second home for dozens of kids. Bicycles lined the fence, engines clicked under small hands, and laughter bounced off the walls like music. Eli never stopped being surprised every time he unlocked the doors in the morning and saw the place bustling. Sometimes he'd pause and think. All of this started because a little girl brought in a broken bike. But not everyone was happy. One gray morning, a man in a tailored suit stepped into the garage, his polished shoes out of place among the oil stains. He held a clipboard and a smirk. "You, Eli Ramirez." "Yeah," Eli said, wiping his hands. "Can I help you?" "Name's Roland Price. Hale Industries Board of Directors hired me to review expenditures. Seems Mrs. Hale has been funneling a generous amount of company funds into this little project of yours." Eli stiffened. "It's not a project. It's a workshop for kids. For the community." Price looked around with mild disdain. "Charming. But unless you can justify the investment in hard numbers, this place is shutting down." That night, Vivian stormed into the workshop, her usual calm broken. "I just found out what the board is planning. They think the workshop isn't profitable." Eli leaned against the workbench, jaw tight. "It's not supposed to be. It's not about profit, Vivian. It's about people." "I know," she said softly, her voice cracking for the first time since he'd met her. "But they're threatening to pull funding. And if they do, I can't keep it open alone." Eli glanced at the kids' projects scattered around the room, the bikes, the small engines, the homemade scooters. He thought of their smiles, their growing confidence. "We're not losing this," he said, his voice steel. "Not after what it's done for them." 2 days later, the town gathered. Parents, kids, and volunteers filled the workshop until it spilled onto the street. The little girl, the same one who had brought in the broken bike, stood on a stool, with grease-stained hands. "My name's Lila Hale," she said, her voice shaking but proud. "Mr. Eli taught me I could fix things myself, not just bikes. Me. Please don't take this away from us." The local news cameras caught every word. The story spread like wildfire. By the end of the week, donations poured in not just from the town, but from people across the state. The board had no choice but to back down. That night, when the last of the cheering crowd left, Vivian found Eli outside, sitting on the steps. "You saved it," she said, her eyes glistening. Eli shook his head. "We saved it. You, me, and a little girl who believed in herself." Vivian sat beside him, the silence warm and full of unspoken things. "You know," she said with a small smile, "you've taught me something too." "Yeah, what's that?" "That the best things in life aren't fixed in a boardroom. They're fixed in a garage." For the first time, Eli let himself smile back, a quiet spark between them,